Okay, and hopefully you can see the slide. Welcome everybody. We're about to get started with a virtual event, the role of community colleges and two-year institutions in energy sector workforce development. This is a virtual meeting that's being hosted jointly by NASEO, the National Association of State Energy Officials, and the Historically Black Colleges and Universities Community Development Action Coalition. We're really grateful for CDAC for the partnership and the effort to help unpack some of these questions around workforce diversity and the role that minority serving institutions like HBCUs can play in helping grow and expand and enforce the energy workforce across the US. Just a few meeting logistics. So as I noted, the meeting will be recorded and posted on NASEO's website within the next few days. We do have a page that's specifically dedicated to energy jobs and workforce diversity that highlights different resources. So that's included on this slide, and I'll also drop it in the link. Over the course of the hour or so that we're together, please feel free to add to the discussion, use the chat and the raise hand features to ask questions and contribute to the conversation. We're really interested in hearing your perspectives and voice. And please also share your name and your organization so we understand the lens that you bring to this conversation. Otherwise, just please keep your microphone muted so that we can hear the other speakers speak unless you would like to chime in. And then we'll plan to pause for questions and comments throughout the meeting, but please also feel encouraged to use the chat to engage over the course of the discussion. So we have a really great agenda today. We'll do some brief opening remarks from our partners at the HBCU Community Development Action Coalition. Then we'll segue to an expert panel with a really stellar lineup to help us examine the role of community colleges and two-year institutions in energy sector workforce development.
Thank you. No, it's
And if you could please make sure to stay muted.
Online, like it was on sale a couple of years ago. Athlete, thank you. Thank you. Sorry.
Okay, great. Yes, please make sure to stay muted throughout this conversation. Appreciate it. So the panel will be moderated by Starlet Hodge, the State Energy Program Manager within the State Energy Office in North Carolina. We'll also hear from Frank Murrock with the Roxbury Community College, Jerome Green with Shorter College, and Randall Dawson with St. Philip's College, all of whom have really amazing programs that we'd like to elevate for everybody to learn about. I did just want to note, please do reach out to NASEO and CDAC if you'd like a one-on-one introduction to any of our members, either a state energy office or a historically Black college or university in your state. Also, if you have topics or programs in workforce development, inclusion, and diversity that you'd like to highlight in future meetings, we're more than happy and really excited to learn about those. Also, if you'd like to just sort of discuss any topics in workforce or STEM, NASEO and CDAC have a lot of expertise either within our groups or within our partner organizations that we can help you tap into. And of course, if you'd like to just say hi or get to know us a little more, feel free to reach out. And I've included our contact information on this slide as well. So with that, I'd like to turn it over to Henry and Karen with the HBCU Community Development Action Coalition, especially to highlight Karen, who is a new addition to the team, so that you all get to know her. So Henry and Karen, I'll turn it over to you now.
Thank you, Sandy, as always, for your wonderful job in bringing us together and bringing the state energy officials together from around the country. As was stated and has been stated, I'm Henry Golat. I am with the HBCU Community Development Action Coalition, where I currently manage and operationalize our strategic partners and relationships and strategies around our work. A little bit about the HBCU Community Development Action Coalition. We are an organization that has been around for about 10 years now. We started some years ago as an outcome of our work on the various HBCU campuses, where we mostly were doing community development action and carrying out those kinds of assignments within our ranks on the campuses. For instance, I was with the University of Arkansas at Pine Bluff for a number of years and served in that same type of capacity. The organization as a whole, though, has about 3 strategic initiatives, national initiatives that we undertake, with clean energy, the Clean Energy Initiative being one of those. The mission of the Clean Energy Initiative is to increase awareness and equitable access to clean energy solutions by directly engaging HBCU research academies and scholars, as well as their surrounding host communities, as test beds for deployment. We also seek to engage community partners and on-the-ground experts and champions of this work, and to lend their capacity towards this work. And so in that regard, that's kind of what we are seeking to do here. We've enjoyed a wonderful relationship with Sandy and NASEO for now going into our 2nd year. And in that regard, we've worked together to bring some diversity, equity, inclusion lens to the work, bringing HBCU scholars to the table, convenings such as this to share out information that is being unearthed through the various research channels, both within NASEO and within the NASEO ranks of partners, such as BW Research and others. So we're very fortunate to have a partner in NASEO and the work that they're doing in standing up this work across the country. And as Sandy indicated, I want to yield my time, the balance of my time here in this introductory, to allow for Karen Soares to share her background and to be introduced to this group. This is her first foray with us in this kind of convening. So Karen, share with us your information, and then I'll let you take it from there.
Absolutely. Well, hello, everyone. I am Karen Soares. I am CEI Director, Clean Energy Initiative Director for CDAC. I am just excited about being a part of the team. I am the immediate past chairwoman of Board of Trustees for Barbara Scotia College, and energy and workforce was my focus. So I am just thrilled to be able to share with the 2-year college community what we've done, what we're going to do, and the opportunities before you. Workforce is key to every institution, I believe. It is absolutely necessary for students to graduate and be able to get gainful employment, or we like to say start employment, create jobs. So again, I'm excited about some of the projects that you're already doing on your campuses and those to come to take advantage of the opportunities in the clean energy space, as well as workforce. So I am looking forward to working with you, and it's a pleasure to meet you all. Thank you. And Sandy?
Thank you, Karen. Thank you, Henry. That was really terrific and a great overview of CDAC. And we're, again, very grateful for the partnership. I'll next turn it over to Star Hodge with the North Carolina Energy Office to provide some opening remarks about North Carolina's work on workforce and with HBCUs. And then she'll help lead us through a panel of experts working at the 2-year institution level and with community colleges on various programs that really show promising models for diversifying and expanding the energy workforce. So Star, please take it away.
Thanks so much, Sandy. And like Henry said, we've enjoyed such a great working relationship with NASEO. Thank you for inviting us here. I'm super excited about this session. As Sandy said earlier, I'm Star Hodge. I'm the State Energy Program Manager at the North Carolina State Energy Office in the North Carolina Department of Environmental Quality. And workforce development has always been a high priority for us, but starting earlier on, the governor issued Executive Order 80, and our department was charged with writing a clean energy plan. So there were several state-level policy documents that led us to develop and facilitate North Carolina Energy Efficiency Apprenticeship Program. First one was the North Carolina Clean Energy Plan. Secondly, there was the Energy Efficiency Roadmap, which was developed in October of 2019. And then thirdly, we had the North Carolina Energy Policy Council 2020 Biennial Report. And all of these policy documents had recommendations for the development of an energy efficiency apprenticeship program. So with the goal of facilitating an EE apprenticeship program offering education in clean energy and energy efficiency and on-the-job training, we partnered with North Carolina Agriculture and Technical State University, which is the largest HBCU in North Carolina, and not just in North Carolina, but in the nation now. For a while, we were going back and forth between North Carolina A&T and FAMU being number one, and I think Texas Southern might be up in the top 3 now. So we partnered with North Carolina A&T State University to pilot a pre-apprenticeship program last summer. And also, we wanted to partner with them to not only have a pre-apprenticeship program during the summer, but we wanted to develop a sustainable statewide program for workforce development in clean energy and energy efficiency. So we've been working with North Carolina A&T State University since the beginning of 2020, and we learned a lot of lessons during the development of this program. And a couple of the lessons learned that I would like to talk about, the first thing that we learned is early engagement with partners from industry and educational partners. So last year during our pre-apprenticeship program, we had 13 industry partners. For this coming summer, we've doubled the number of partners that we had. The second lesson learned that I'd like to talk about, Henry mentioned this a little bit, we wanted to ensure equitable access to workforce development opportunities, especially in communities where there was elevated unemployment and in communities where historically energy occupations were excluded. So when we were looking at areas that we wanted to have our pre-apprenticeship and who we wanted to work with, we wanted to make sure that we included Tier 1 counties, which are the most distressed economically across the state. So during our summer program, we had a Tier 1, Tier 2, and a Tier 3. So we had all 3 tiers, but we had 30 students that participated, and 20 of those students came from our Tier 1 counties. 67% of them were female, and 91% of the students that participate in our pre-apprenticeship program last year were minority students. And so one of the third lessons that we learned in developing our clean energy workforce development program is that we needed to utilize our existing resources, which included community colleges, which we're going to be talking with some today. We had 3 community colleges that participated last year in the 3 counties that were served from our program. They were in Wake Technical Community College, Guilford Technical Community College, and Halifax Community College, which was in our Tier 1 county. So last year we had those 3 community college systems. This year, in the expansion of our program, as I mentioned, we're going from 13 industry partners to more than 26 industry partners. Last year we had 30 students that participated. This year we're going to have 60 students that participate in the program. And we're going from 3 counties to 7 counties, and then we'll have 7 community colleges. So I'm really excited to hear what our speakers are going to talk about from their schools today. And I will just introduce the 3 of them initially, and then I'll turn it over to our first speaker. So our first panelist will be Frank Ruck. He is the Executive Director at Roxborough Community College Center for Smart Building Technology. Secondly, we have Jerome Green. He is the President of Shorter College. And thirdly, we have Randall Dawson. He is the Vice President for Academic Success at St. Philip's College. And so at this time, each panelist will have about 10 minutes to present, and then we'll leave time for questions and answers at the end of that. And so at this time, I'd like to turn things over to Frank.
Hello, everyone. Just pull up my slides. So my name is Frank Ruck. I'm the Executive Director of the Roxbury Community College Center for Smart Building Technology. Oops. We're in Roxbury. Our students are 95% of color, Black and brown, and average age of our students is 31. So what happened in the past, before I got here, I used to be associate dean at a school of architecture in New York. And I came up to Boston to start a center for smart building technology. The school, Roxbury, is getting a lot of attention for these solar panels and geothermal wells. So an advisory board got together of all these players, Harvard, Northeastern, Eversource, National Grid, and they said, what we really need is a center for smart building technology that focuses on building automation. It's taking over 6 months to commission buildings, and none of our systems talk to each other, and no one knows how to evaluate these systems. So we started to build a program. The salaries are very high in this sector, starting at 50, scaling up to 100 very fast. There's many different launch entry and exit points for someone moving in this direction, many career maps. What was happening in Boston to drive demand was they have a 2050 carbon neutral plan, and buildings, as you know, as you may know, around the world count for 40% of greenhouse gas emissions, but in big cities like New York and Boston, they're 71%. So they have to be really addressed really aggressively. And what's happening in Boston, we have this thing called Building Energy Reduction and Disclosure Act. Any building over 25,000 square feet has to report on their energy efficiency every 5 years and prove that they're improving. And most of the buildings in the city have already switched out all their lighting. So the problem is, how do we get more energy efficiency from here? And it's very expensive, but building controls have the potential for another 30%. So that's the next round of low-hanging fruit. So everyone is really interested in that. This whole integration, I don't know if you ever heard the term digital twins, but when you design a building, it starts with BIM models, and then you can actually use space management and maintenance management that's leveraging the BIM models and project management, but really tying everything together with the building automation system, where you use the BIM model to model how the building should perform, and using the BAS systems to see where they, how you integrate everything and how the performances actually work is critical. So we focus, we talk to a lot of people, we focus on what are the major players. There's like 6 to 10 major players in the industry: Johnson Controls, Schindler, Siemens, Honeywell, Automated Logic. And how do we integrate all these systems? Of course, in the industry, we use this thing called BACnet, which is a translator for all these systems. So the key to us is this profession has very high barriers to entry. You can't just walk into a Siemens if I'm an 18-year-old kid and say, I want to get trained. They only train the people on their systems or their workers. So how do we train in a vendor agnostic way so that students go through our program can work on any of these systems? That was the key question that was being asked, and nobody was really doing that very well. Also, we wanted to have we want to connect to both tech high schools with a certificate program that's also embedded into an associate's degree program that's transferable to a bachelor's degree program. So there's many entry and exit points for this sort of education. And even if you come for like a semester, you have takeaways certificates that have currency in industry. So we launched the center with Senator Markey in 2020. We have this with $1 million in funding. We worked with our advisory board to come up with a strategy, and that was, we want to be an aggregator of best-in-class energy efficiency programs, certification programs. We want to be a preferred producer of state-of-the-art BAS technicians. We want to be a center for thought leadership and jobs and a hub for the community. These are our energy efficiency kind of certification programs, which we train industry with, and we extract a lot of these classes into our associate's degree program. On the residential side, we do HERS training and BPI training. On a multifamily, we do passive house. And on the commercial, we do BLC training, LEED, WELL, and GPRO stuff. We trained about, to date, with all these programs, about 340 students. These programs are really important in Boston because they're tied to both BERDO, which is that act I was telling you about. Also, they're tied to the stretch codes in Massachusetts. Passive House and HERS specifically. So then we looked at the building, how do we create a vendor agnostic building automation building automation systems program? And we looked at industry, and we found that most of their training programs were in clumps of around 120 hours. And we appropriated a lot of their terminology, such as certified building automation technician associate, practitioner, and certified building automation technician. So we have a standalone certificate program that's embedded into an associate's degree program. And we extract from, I never want to be in the room like designing curriculum by myself. So we leverage a lot of big industry players in this curriculum and other certification programs. For instance, the BAS networking class, we leverage CompTIA Network Plus, which is an industry-wide IT certification program. That's very important because this new profession, which it is a new profession, is a intersection of IT and electrical and HVAC. And ever since the Target hack, you may have remember in 2016, where they got into Target through the HVAC system to get all the credit card data. IT people always have a problem with HVAC people touching their stuff. So we actually give our students real IT credentials. We also worked with this BEST Institute, and this was a multi-million-dollar study, National Science Foundation grant to study how do we make curriculum in a vendor agnostic way, and how do we design new training equipment that's not simulation equipment, it's real equipment. So we worked with them, they took us in. Actually, we were one of the first to launch their programs. This is what our software looks like. We use Sedona, it's all open source, but it's very similar to Honeywell Tritium Niagara, which is on the left. Our software is on the right. You're dragging algorithms and sequencing and wiring them to controllers. They have the same sort of graphics, dashboards. We found when we were training people and beta testing our curriculum, we found that people, if we would start from the beginning and say, this is how buildings operate, we would lose a lot of people and they want to drop out. So we found a connection to Lego Mindstorms. I also teach a lot of robotics intro classes for high school, and many of the schools in Boston use Lego Mindstorms as an intro to robotics. The connection that we found was it's very similar to the BAS software. So you're dragging algorithms, connecting them and sequencing them. So we kind of developed that with another beta program from Clemson University where we worked on robotics. Because in essence, buildings are actually computers and robotics right now. So our lab we have $100 million in grants. We have these little suitcases where students plug in their laptop and actually wire controllers and thermostats and actuators. And we have 3 levels of suitcases. We can take these anywhere and go off site. We also have a full-blown on the right air handling units, which students actually connect to a real air handling unit. And once again, that's on the right here. Our suitcases are on the left. We also have many split type heat pump trainers, residential and commercial, because that's a big thing in Boston now, making all the buildings electric, and people need to work on those. We have many lectures and events at the center where people come back, and we want students to come back. We do a lot of boot camps where we actually, to at-risk individuals, etc., in Boston, where we actually bundle some of these certification programs, like the BPI certification, Building Science Principles, with the G-Pro O&M certificate, with some basic smart building technology stuff. And after 40 hours, they have a couple certificates, and we help them find jobs. This is just all our kind of courses we offer. We've been published a lot. People are very interested in this. All the politicians come here. We've been in Boston Globe and all these different kind of venues. In fact, last year we were ranked #2 in the country for our academic influence, which was very prestigious. But I think that's because we just get so much publicity because we're in a sweet spot of interest around the country. And these are kind of what our students look like in our lab. And it's been a good journey. This is a really hot topic and a hot program right now. And I don't have anywhere near enough students to satisfy the demand. And everyone's coming to us for this. So the time is now for this sort of curriculum and pedagogy. And we feel like we're on the forefront of something kind of big. So that's my spiel.
Thank you very much, Frank. At this time, we'll hand it over to Jerome.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Jerome Green. I'm president of Shorter College. That's at North Little Rock, Arkansas. We are a historically Black college founded in 1886. We are private, not state funded. Our program is not primarily vocational or technical, but academic. Our focus and what I want to talk about today is a program that we are administering as a part of an initiative to get people back into the workforce following pandemic displacement. And a key industry for doing that, we have identified are the energy sectors. So we are working with Entergy, which is the power company in Arkansas, and we have discussions with MISO, with Southwest Power Pool as well. And of course, an area of focus that we have at the college from our academic program is entrepreneurial business, so that when students develop competencies that are transferable into technical and to the energy industries, they also have the opportunity to consider using those same skills to be an employer as well as an employee. So is somebody operating the slides for me? Well,
I believe
all right.
Sandy.
I am, sorry.
Okay, so the Reimagine program partners with local business and industry, and through this, we are offering a variety of current and high demand workforce ready courses and certificate programs. And now this is coming from a $13 million grant from the U.S. Department of Education that is administered through the State Workforce Board, Shorter College and the University of Arkansas at Fayetteville Global Campus. We are the subcontractors for the state in this respect. We, of course, are in Central Arkansas, the urban area. They, of course, are in the northern part of the state, which is more rural, but becoming very much a business hub. Our portion of the grant is $3.5 million. Next slide. The eligibility for people to be able to get into this program is simply to be adversely affected by the pandemic, unemployed, and the documents that are needed are a driver's license, a social security card, and selective service verification. So you can see that the primary focus of this is to find people who need to be put back into the workforce. And then we have identified these competencies in order to help them do that. Next slide. These are the current numbers of students that we have in the cohorts we have just started. Next slide. Okay, here you have in the right a list of counties where the students are beginning to come from. We've just really gotten started within the last 30 days. And the certificates that we are offering are entrepreneurship, small business management, human resource management, digital marketing fundamentals. We have one in wine, but that doesn't relate to what we're talking about today. Microsoft Office Specialist, IBM badges, and Apple Swift coding. We're particularly proud of the IBM badges and the Apple Swift coding because we do this with software that comes directly from IBM and with software that comes directly from Apple. So the badges, the micro-credential badges that these people receive as a result of developing these competencies are recognized nationwide because they are not short of college badges. Excuse me. They are Apple badges or they are IBM badges. Next slide. Here we just have a list of our staff. Next slide. Again, we have the courses, certificate courses that are offered, and the amount of time that it takes to attend the courses. Next slide. And the most important part of the program, we think, is the internship opportunity, because as we partner with these companies, then we have the opportunity to place the students who are engaged with getting the certificate programs where they acquire the competencies, and then they have the opportunity to go into a real live setting to get experience. And the grant that we are using pays the internship. So these are paid internships, no cost to the employer. Next slide. And here's just a little bit about some of the competencies. On the internship small business, the person learns actually how to design and develop comprehensive business plans to start a small business, to design and develop the marketing plan, to compile and prepare the accurate financial information. So for example, if a young person was trying to get into the solar business, and they got this certificate, and then they worked with a solar company to get the actual hands-on experience, they would then be equipped to either work for a company in this sector, or they have the wherewithal to develop and start businesses, to develop even newer and better forms of energy and clean energy. Next slide. Is there another slide? And so here we just have the various competencies that go with the various certificates. That's all that I would show about those. So we can wrap up the slides. But this, I think, gives a nutshell of what we are doing with this particular project. But what it does for the college is it opens the door for additional plans in the same area. All of these courses that we're talking about now are online courses with the certifications. The in-person is the training, but we are in the process of developing a technology hub by acquiring the historic Rock Island Railroad Depot, which is just a few blocks from our campus. And there in that location, we will do these and other courses on an in-person basis, bring in consultants, using industry representatives as our instructors, and work with the local industry leaders to design courses for competencies that they tell us that they need and are looking for. So that's what we're doing, and so thank you for allowing me to share.
Thank you so much, Jerome. At this time, we'll hear from Randall Dawson. Randall?
Thank you, Star, and thank you, Mr. Murick and President Green, for your presentations. I'd like to thank Sandy, Karen, and Henry for inviting St. Philip's College to be on this call today. So we're very excited to be able to share a little bit about St. Philip's College. Again, my name is Randall Dawson. I do serve here as the Vice President for Academic Success. And St. Philip's College is one of the 5 Alamo colleges within San Antonio and/or Bexar County. Next slide, please. So whenever St. Philip's College gets an opportunity to kind of get the spotlight, no matter where we're at, even in our own community in San Antonio, we like to share a little information about our history, because we have a rich and diverse history that we're very proud of. And so, as you can see there, we were founded back in 1898, and we were a school for the daughters and granddaughters of emancipated slaves. Our founding president was Miss Artemisia Bowden, and she served for a total of 52 years. And what is very interesting about Miss Bowden was that she came from Georgia originally, and she was charged by the bishop from the Episcopal Diocese of West Texas. So we were formed underneath the Episcopal Church. And she charged Miss Bowden with elevating education opportunities for African Americans through the school, which originally started out as a cooking and sewing school. And I believe we had 3 graduating students the first year, and a total of 16 students in the program to start with. So obviously now we have about 13,000 students. We've come a long way since that beginnings. What's also very interesting about Miss Bowden is she was such a champion in our community and with the Episcopal Church that there is a feast day named after her, and she was named a saint, a holy woman, canonized by the Episcopal Church in 2015. And the day of her feast is August 18th, and we obviously celebrate that here at St. Philip's College and are very proud of that. We like to say we have a saint looking over us in all we do at St. Philip's College. The same time that she was elevated to sainthood, then our Alamo College's district did state that she was president emeritus in recognition of her service and leadership to St. Philip's College. During the Depression, she actually had to put a choir together to go out and raise funds to keep the college or the school at that time going, sold chicken dinners. I mean, she did what she had to do to keep this college alive. So she certainly was also the savior of St. Philip's College during her tenure of 52 years, which is amazing. Next slide, please. And so today, again, as I stated, we are part of the Alamo College's district, and we are a public community college. We want to empower our diverse community, make sure that they have educational attainment, career readiness. We are federally designated as both a historically Black college and university, as well as a Hispanic serving institution. Again, because we were always historically Black, we will always have that designation. And because we primarily have Hispanic students at our institution, that's why we are designated as a Hispanic serving. Again, we are what we believe to be vital faucet in the community. We like to say that we are the economic engine that fuels the future for our students, and poverty is our competition, and we want to overcome poverty and get our students into middle class income America when they leave us at St. Philip's College. We have 2 campuses, primarily our main campus on Martin Luther King, and then a Southwest campus. But we also have some outreaches in a couple of other counties that we also teach a nursing program and advanced manufacturing at, as well as some what they call East Side, West Side, North Side, South Side training centers that have some adult education programs. We have over 70 different workforce program offerings. Right here on our Martin Luther King campus, we have 17 health sciences programs, We have a brand new building that just opened up to support our tourism, hospitality, and culinary arts program. It's 4 stories, and on the 4th floor, it overlooks downtown San Antonio, the Tower of the Americas, because we're about 1.5 miles east of downtown San Antonio. And it's named after Miss Bowden, so the restaurant is called Artemisia's. And it is a public restaurant that our students serve out of. And so we're quite proud of that just opened up during this last year. Next slide, please. And so we had some capital improvement projects that have been going on. A couple of them are going to come to fruition. I just mentioned the THCA that opened up last year. We got 2 more buildings opening up this next year. The voters of Bexar County approved a $450 million bond for the 5 Alamo colleges, and we were the recipient of $82 million. And with that, we did the THCA building as well as the 2 that you see here. So at our Southwest campus, we will be opening up a new welding and auto collision refinishing building. Again, being able to provide advanced instruction in welding and auto body, providing double bay automotive prep stations. And then here on our main campus, again, naming a new building, the St. Artemisia Bowden Center of Excellence building, and that will incorporate our Information Technology and Cybersecurity Center to provide both corporate and entrepreneurial training. It features our own cyber range, which is very unique. Normally, you have to rent the cloud space and pay quite a bit of money on an annual basis. We have our own cyber range that our students will be able to use, and the fact to be able to, one day they're working in a healthcare setting, the other day working in an auto body setting, next day in a banking setting. So we are able to run that cyber range ourselves and then provide training as well to local stakeholders. And inside that building, there are going to be 3 traditional labs, but also 2 state-of-the-art networking labs, again, providing that real-life networking support. And we also have Cisco certified networking available with that as well. The building itself cost $35 million, and the cyber range itself was 1.6, plus we put another $3 million in additional IT and cybersecurity equipment. So we're very excited about the future of that program. Next slide, please. So we're going to have a skilled workforce, obviously, that's going to come out of it. That is our main focus. We want to make sure our students are well trained and have all the skills they need to immediately become employable. We have programming in security, robotics, and advanced manufacturing, utilities and grids, artificial intelligence, and then cloud network security are the primary focus point of our programs. We do also have the stackable credentials that was discussed, like Mr. Murick stated. We have what's called a Occupational Skills Award. That is the first credential they can earn in 1 semester, and it is 11 semester hours. Then they move on to a level 1 certificate, which is 20 semester credit hours, and then that aligns to the Associate of Applied Science and Information Technology Cybersecurity Specialist. We have a number of industry partners that we are able to get our students internships with. Our goal is to have paid interns for all of our students. While that does not take place 100% of the time, it definitely takes place a majority of the time. And so that is our goal for all of our workforce programs, is to get them into paid internship opportunities. Our main partners are Accenture, Dell, IBM, Cisco, White Cloud, and then we also partner with a variety of governmental, local governmental agencies with the city of San Antonio, various ISDs, et cetera, to get our students out there in the real world working. We also have the pipeline coming up from our high school partners in the area. The PTech, which is the Pathways in Technology Early College High School, which gives the students the opportunity while in high school to earn their associate's degree and or any of those stackable credentials I just mentioned. And they get that at the same time that they graduate from high school. And technically they get their associate degree about a month before they graduate from high school. So it's something that we always like to talk about, because college gets out about the first week of May with classes and finals the second week, and high school graduations usually aren't until June. So they actually walk across the stage with us with their associate's degree before getting their high school diploma. So we have partnerships with 3 of our local ISD partners. Sam Houston, Ingram Tom Moore, and Lytle. And then we also have the Texas Science, Technology, Engineering, Math partnerships with 2 local academies here in town that are private. And then we just have dual credit opportunities that students can take some very basic information technology classes through dual credit. We have over 70 different ISD partners around Bexar County in several different counties that take dual credit with us. Our grants is also an amazing opportunity for us that we are able to follow through with. One that we are working on right now is our Cyber First Responders Grant with the National Science Foundation. And then also with the National Security Administration, we have our Gen Cyber Grant that has camps during the summer for middle school students. And we also train high school and middle school teachers during the summer with that grant with various cybersecurity workshops, et cetera. Some of our national affiliations you see there, Microsoft, Cisco, Amazon, CompTIA, NSA, Google, CERTS, and ISSA. And then another thing that we're quite proud of with this program is that we are designated by NSA and the Department of Homeland Security as a National Center of Academic Excellence in Cyber Defense for 2-year education. Not an easy designation to come by. And we just recently were recertified in that and is good through 2027. And this is a group of peers that look at what we do to make that designation through those agencies. And then what we're looking forward to in the future, the state of Texas is allowing community college to offer a limited number of bachelor's degree in applied technology and or applied sciences. So we are looking at starting a Bachelor of Applied Technology and Information Technology Cybersecurity in the coming year, working on that with the state of Texas and of course our crediting body, SAC-COC, to make that happen. Next slide, please. Our power generation and alternative energy program, which I know is a focal point of what we were here to talk about today, but this program that we have provides our students obviously with the skills and knowledge to go out and work in the electrical power generation industry. They of course learn all of the conventional skills for conventional energy, but we also of course have the renewable technologies to be a renewable technician. And that is based on various fuel sources. As you see there, we've got a solar panel and a windmill. That is actually a picture of our Southwest campus. When we have our food truck come on campus, they are actually able to use the power generated from these devices to power their food truck. So we're quite proud of that. We also have solar panels on the top of the facility itself, helping us generate power for our Southwest campus. Some of the other fuel sources are, might not pronounce this quite right, photovoltaic cells, design, installation, field technician, solar, wind, power plant, biomass, thermal, hydro, hydrogen fuel cell, smart grid, smart home, and microgrid. So our students get the ability to learn all these different renewable energy sources throughout their academic program within this alternative energy and power generation program. Just like the IT program, there are stackable credentials, starting out with the Occupational Skills Award with 13 semester credit hours. And then we also have both level 1 and level 2 certs as stackable credentials at 17 and 42 hours, and then working the way to the Associate of Applied Science degree in power generation and alternative energy. And our local industry partnership and interns are with primarily Guadalupe Valley Electric Co-op, CPS, which is the energy for Bexar County, Mission Solar, OCI, Tesla just came to town, ERCO Energy, Pure Energy, Ingle Solar Electric, Vista Wind, and South Texas Solar. So those are the places that our students go to gain internships and experience. As far as our national affiliation, we are affiliated with the North American Board of Energy Practitioners. We are both a training and a testing center for the NABCEP. And then finally, we just want to talk about one of our most recent projects that our students do. We encourage community service with all of our programs to give back to the community. And so they recently built the first and only San Antonio solar-powered food truck court, which will support up to 3 food trucks at one time that will be totally clean energy and supported. And our students did that. And then, as I mentioned, when we have the food truck come to Southwest Campus, it is also powered by our wind and solar energy panels that you see there. And last thing I just want to talk about, we have talked a lot about, what's going on in the class. You can go to the next slide, that's fine. We talked about what's going on in the classroom, but we are quite proud of our advocacy support for our students. We have what's called safe space. We have a food pantry, a clothing closet. We provide all kinds of emergency grant support for students that may have housing insecurity, not be able to pay their rent. We give gas cards, they just need gas for their vehicles. Any kind of assistance that a student, as we all know, comes up with that may cause them to have a hiccup in their academic career, and they may think, well, I need to drop out of school. We want to make sure that we've got it covered for them and make it really their last resort to not attend college anymore, that we provide all the services. They may need counseling support, home insecurity. We all have seen it, especially at the 2-year community colleges, especially in settings where low socioeconomic areas exist. And we certainly are in that area on the east side of San Antonio. So we want to make sure that we provide all the student advocacy support services that students bring to us. Again, we've been in business for 123 years. We've seen and heard almost everything, and we are quite proud that our doors are open to everyone. We don't turn anybody away, and we want to make sure that they know that we are here for them and breaking down those barriers and hurdles that they may have that are outside the classroom, that they can continue their education. We have a lot of returning people getting retooled, reskilled, or getting skilled for the first time that are parents, caregivers, aging out of the foster care system. Again, the students that we reach out to. So at this time, I will yield the virtual platform back to you, Star. Thank you all.
Thank you so much, Randall, and thanks to all of our presenters. At this time, we'd like to open it up for questions from all of our participants. And I just had a question I'd like to start out with first, if that's okay, Sandy. I heard you all talking about stackable credentials. Are all of the course credits transferable to 4-year degrees? I know they were stackable from the certificates to the associate levels, but do they transfer over to 4-year degrees also?
I would think probably about 3 of us may have a different answer. So again, if they are moving into an applied technical or applied science degree, the majority of the classes will transfer over. However, if you're in general education of a BS, a BA, in Texas, they do not accept what they call the workforce course programs. And so they only would take the general education core courses. But again, it also depends on the university, public or private. I know Texas A&M here in San Antonio is much more accepting of our students' credits than our UT partner is. And so it really also depends on the institution you're partnering with, at least at St. Philip's College. So turn it over to my colleagues.
Yeah, for us, it's like, that was the issue when we first started designing the program. Everyone, theoretically, one of the classes, the smart building technology classes, to transfer to a 4-year program in the Mass state system, but there wasn't one. There's very few, maybe a couple around the country. So our classes right now, they don't transfer to a 4-year Mass, just the smart building technology classes. All the rest of them associated with circuits and electrical and that sort of thing they do. So actually about 3 or 4 of them don't.
What about you, Jerron?
Our classes that are offered that are a part of our associate degree program in entrepreneurial business do transfer to any other college. The classes that we offer in the Reimagine grant program for 90-day certificates do not transfer. And of course, the badges, I don't know that there's any reason to try to I don't think you can translate a micro credential, a competency badge in computer skills to a semester or quarter-based credit hour. When those micro credentials, those badges, they simply mean that you know that one thing, and you know it well enough for IBM or Apple to back it up that you have that competency. So it's a wonderful thing to have in addition to your traditional education and credits.
Star, we do have a question in the chat, and it strikes me that maybe Star, you're the best position to answer it. But the question is whether there are any issues that you have seen with the application of U.S. state energy program funds, which the state energy offices oversee, for workforce programs such as these, especially when it comes to reporting.
Yeah, thanks, Sandy. I was reading the question when you saw that, and I was thinking that I would be the best too. So with our program so far, the only issue that I've seen when I talked about lessons learned and we were looking at equitable access to workforce development, some of the students couldn't even afford transportation or food, while they were doing on-the-job training. So that was something that we did not cover out of our SCP funds, but we were very fortunate to have some of the industry partners that paid for the transportation to get the students to and from the on-the-job experience, and also to pay for their lunch every day while they were working. So that was the only issue that I kind of saw. But as far as paying the salaries for the students, our industry partners last year didn't have to pay anything towards the students. We paid $15 an hour, but some of our industry partners that were more specialized, we had high school through graduate level students participate. So some of the graduate level students that were able to do more complex, the industry partners added on to the $15 an hour that we paid the students to participate in the program. So they didn't have to, but some of them wanted to get a higher technical level students. Now, all of the high school students were paid at the $15 an hour, but some of the undergraduate and graduate students are paid higher. But that was the only issue that I saw, was trying to help some students who didn't have the transportation or the means to buy lunch while they were participating in on-the-job training.
Thanks, Star. And I'm not sure if any of the panelists have insights maybe into other types of government funds that have gone into your programs and whether there are any issues there, but did want to create some space in case there's any responses there. Okay. We have another question for the panelists. Do you foresee more two-year colleges offering four-year programs in the future to help address some of the demand?
I'll speak for, again, the state of Texas. So the state of Texas had agreed that community colleges could offer up to 5. And again, they limit it to either a BAT, a BAS, or a BSN. And that could be your only options. The state of Texas sees Alamo colleges as a single entity, even though the 5 colleges are individually accredited with our Southern Association of Colleges and Schools accreditation on commission. So it's kind of a dichotomy that we fight all the time, that the state sees us as one, but the accrediting body sees this as separate. So we are only allowed to offer 5 for the district, and we have 5 colleges, so it kind of makes it easy. Y'all get one. So which one gets what? So San Antonio College is offering the Baccalaureate of Science and Nursing. So they were the first one, and we're hoping to be the second one to start with the IT cyber. But yes, there are a number of community colleges that are already at the 5 level. And yes, it's going to happen in Texas with the community colleges.
Thank you, Mr. Dawson. We are at the top.
Yes, I just kind of wanted to talk a little bit about what we're doing here. When we started our program, we actually started out with the 4-year school so that, you know, those stackable credentials would go all the way through the 4-year program. And then looking at our statewide development program, we started to look at different community colleges, 2-year schools across the state that have apprenticeship programs. And we're looking at universities in their regions. And we're trying to develop partnerships so that all of those credits, you know, for the clean energy and energy efficiency programs would be transferable to the 4-year program. So that's part of the initiative that we're doing in North Carolina to expand our program statewide, this model that we have across the state.
That's great. I think we are at the top of our hour, but I am curious for our panelists and for you too, Star, since you have insight into this world, you know, what are the signals, at least at the policy level or within industry, that usually prompt an institution to introduce new degree programming or new competencies? I think, you know, we're looking from the state perspective at a lot of investments coming through the infrastructure bill and, you know, state energy offices setting new priorities. So how can we help sort of bridge that silo so that there is more coordination between state and academic decision makers?
I'll be glad to speak first as well. So that's a very interesting point that we are always working with our 4-year university partners on accepting of credit, which was talked about earlier. So I think that is one of the reasons that community colleges offering these applied degrees will be much easier for students to move on to get baccalaureate degrees without losing credit hours because of workforce education hours they've attained. Certainly, President Green mentioned the micro credentials, the industry credentials, the badges. We are seeing a lot of that in our industry, that they like to see that within the curriculum, but not necessarily, it doesn't replace anything, but you're in a class and you're going to earn this industry cert, this micro badge, this micro credential. That is certainly part of the charge of the Alamo colleges to embed those. I think the other big thing going on with our state is getting open educational resources for students. They don't have to pay for their instructional materials. That is a huge push. Anything that we can do to save students money, which is one of the major factors in keeping students from getting degrees and certificates, is because it costs money. And so what can we do to support that by taking away that instructional material cost is one of the ways, and then helping them with internships and other support. So that's my input.
Star and Sandy, this is not a question, but a comment, you know, really a comment more than anything else. With all panelists, I think I heard an overlay around entrepreneurship and, you know, some vertical integration. And from CDAC's perspective, that's very important. You know, we not only want to train new entrants into the workforce development side of the solar industry, but we also want to think about how can we leverage this opportunity, this interest in clean energy, renewable energy, to foster more entrepreneurship, wealth creation, you know, those things like that that are really needed in our underserved, under-resourced communities. And so I heard that as a cross thread across everyone's presentation here today. Randall, you mentioned that there are some things that you guys are doing. I really love the food truck hub being powered as it is with clean energy as such. And so I definitely want to have some further conversations with you about that. And then Jerome, certainly President Green, we heard you talk about the intersectionality between entrepreneurship and the credentialing that you're doing through your program. So want to follow up with all of that. But I did want to lift that up and say that that is commendable, and it's certainly the pathway that CDAC and HBCU Community Development Action Coalition is seeking to take in terms of an integrated strategy for our work. So.
Great, then. Thanks, Henry. I'll open up the floor in case there's any final questions or comments, either from the panelists or any of our attendees. If not, well, thank you, Star, so much for moderating this panel. Thank you, Henry and Karen, for jointly hosting. And thank you so much to our panelists, Randall, Jerome, and Frank. This was really terrific and really helped open up a lot of doors, I think, for states to learn more about the programs that you offer and maybe ways that they can help inspire and catalyze them in their own states. So thank you again, and I hope everyone has a wonderful day.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.